Good evening, and welcome to The Unexplained. When I was a child, I used to read this book, Mysteries of the Unexplained, religiously. From beyond the walls of time to the unquiet sky, with stories of frogs falling from the heavens to aliens who made pancakes, I used to stay awake at night in total fear. And as I grew older, I became a skeptic, but my love of the paranormal never truly left. Tonight, I want to discuss one of my favourite stories, that of the Flatwoods Monster. 7:15 p.m, September 12, 1952. Two brothers, Fred and Edward May, were playing football in the schoolyard with their friend Tommy Hire on a warm summer's night. It wasn't until an oval-shaped ball of fire soared across the sky. Their racing minds immediately thought it was a flying saucer. They weren't alone in their observation. Many other residents described a flight aircraft descending towards a local farm. The children reported what they saw to their parents. Fred's mother, Kathleen May, along with their National Guardsman neighbour, Eugene Lemon, went to the farm to investigate. They were joined by Neil Nunley, Teddy Neal, Ronnie Shaver, and possibly Tommy Hire. Armed with flashlights, the group went to discover what had crashed. The first thing they noticed upon approaching the farm was the smell. It was described as sulphur-like and began to make the group feel queasy. A pulsing red light shone through the mist. As a metallic whirring sound began to be heard, Eugene Lemon's dog ran away in fear. Eugene noticed eyes staring at him, and as he guided his flashlight, he saw a figure he would never forget. He described the being as followed.
A man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointed hood-like shape.
Kathleen described the creature as being over 10 feet tall. She said,
"It had small, claw-like hands, clothing like folds, and a head that resembled the ace of spades."
This was the Flatwoods Monster. It began to hiss at the investigators as Lemon dropped his flashlight and ran away in fear, the group following close behind him. Before they made their escape, the creature hovered towards Kathleen and covered her in a strange, oily substance. Now terrified, they made their way back to the town and contacted the sheriff's department. The local sheriff, Robert Carr, was currently investigating a plane crash outside of town, so was not able to be first at the scene. When he eventually arrived on the scene, the mist, noise, and smell that was reported was not seen or heard. There was evidence of track marks in the grass, alongside oily residue and a rubber-like substance. Yet, members of May's group reported that they were sick many days following the event. Symptoms such as swelling of the nose and throat, to vomiting and convulsions for many weeks. There is a lot to unpack here, so let's look at the testimonies and evidence from this case. Let's discuss the ship. Multiple sightings were held by the public, but it has been confirmed that a meteor was reported in 3 different states in the area. There was also an airplane that crashed 2 hours away from Flatwoods. That could also be a possible explanation. But what of the tracks left by the ship and oily residue? A local boy admitted to driving his truck around the field looking for the creature. It is likely that the tracks found came from his car, especially since the tracks were only seen the next day. Let's discuss the mist and the red glow. The mist is supposed to be quite common in the mountain areas, so it could be as simple as that. Yet, how do we explain the red light? Could it have simply been an airplane beacon? There were 3 in the Flatwoods area on that night, but would that be enough to be mistaken for a UFO? And how do we explain the sulfuric smell? It could have come from a creek or something strange within the farm, but strong enough to make them feel ill? The vomiting has been attributed to overexertion or hysteria, but could that really last weeks? And of course, how could we forget the creature itself? If not being from another world, what was it? The most common explanation is that of a barn owl, perched upon a large tree. This would give the illusion of height, and the faces of female barn owls are more of a red-brown compared to their male counterparts. When Lemon aimed his flashlight at the owl, it would most definitely have made its eyes glow. Also, barn owls don't sound like your typical owl, they sound like this. That sound alone could make you believe you saw something more terrifying. I also have to mention one of my favourite explanations. It comes from a cheese company in Wisconsin who wondered if the creature was mistaken for an inflatable rubber cow that they had launched 10 days prior to the event. In many ways, that is more exciting than a barn owl. Fact or fiction? There is no denying the impact this event had on the small town of Flatwoods, West Virginia. From their famous Welcome to Flatwoods sign to the Flatwoods Monster Museum. I'd like to leave this discussion with an excerpt from the Braxton website. Sometimes, if you stand outside at night there, you can almost feel it. Like the monster left a gift from the stars for us, and we just haven't quite found it yet. So, what do you think? Was Flatwoods really visited by a creature from beyond the skies? Or was it simply a more terrestrial being? We may never know the truth, therefore it remains a mystery of the unexplained. Until next time, friends, good night.